We use airplanes for all kinds of serious business. But what do you use if what you really want is to have a little fun up in the wild blue yonder? Well, friends, you get yourself one of these, an ultralight aircraft. Yeehaw! Flying an ultralight is unlike flying any other type of aircraft. You're using the minimum amount of equipment possible to achieve sustained flight. You can think of the ultralight as the motorcycle of the sky. And for the pilots who fly them, the experience is all about freedom and being connected to your environment. Now, if I could just find one of those pilots, then perhaps I could experience that freedom. One thing I should point out is that the term ultralight is actually just the classification of aircraft, not a specific type of plane. So, an ultralight could look like this, or even this, as long as it meets the criteria of weighing less than 1,232 pounds and having a wing stall speed of 45 miles per hour, you can consider it an ultralight. It looks like so much fun that I can't wait to get me my flying lesson. Colin.
Jeff.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited, man, and scared.
No need.
What are we gonna do here?
Okay, we're gonna start with a walk around, make sure that everything is safe with...
And attached.
And
That
attached.
pedal is attached.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Right, okay.
All right, this is the stick. This is what controls the ailerons and the elevator on the tail. So when you move the stick to the left or to the right, one aileron or the other will drop down and
Right.
the other one will go up. This causes the plane to roll. If we wanted to climb, you pull back like this. If
Right.
you wanted to descend, you push forward.
Right, okay.
And then the other controls are the rudder pedals. When you want to turn, you want to use the aileron and the rudder pedals together. Right
Not
now?
confuse the rudder pedal with the gas pedal.
Exactly.
Right. What is this?
This is the throttle.
Oh, nice, throttle.
Okay. When we want to add power, we just kind of push it forward. When we're
Okay.
at cruise, as we will be for most of this flight, it'll be sort of in a horizontal position like this. Then at full power for takeoff and climb, it'll be forward and all the way down.
Nice.
The thing that I'll need you to do is the radio.
What kind of tunes do you like to listen to?
Just the air traffic control tunes.
Right, of course.
Okay.
I just want to get in the air, but before I do, we still have to check the rest of the plane. Safety first.
And we're back where we started,
What's that mean?
that we're ready to go.
Just going to level off here at about 1,000 feet. For these lessons, you just sort of want to get a feel for the controls.
Yeah.
So right now we're sort of in cruise flight. Okay, push the stick forward, the nose drops.
Right.
Right. Pull the stick back again, the nose rises.
Go up a bit.
Nose high attitude. Very shallow climb, and you can see the airspeed starts to drop off a little bit.
That's right.
And then back to the cruise with the rudder pedals, and then with the stick, you roll right.
Right.
Or you roll left. All right, you ready to take control?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, you have control.
I have control. Woo! Okay, so what do I do?
Well, whatever you want, just get a sense of the controls.
Oh. Okay, I want to go this way a bit. Oh, level it out. What's happening here? Are you turning us?
No.
Whoa!
descent.
Okay, you throttled off.
Yep.
That's good. You throttled off and I pooped my pants.
Sorry.
You know what I like about this, Colin? It makes me think of what like the early days of aviation must have been like.
Yeah, me too. That's one of the appeals.
It's funny, with all the technology and all the development in flight and stuff, it's taking us further and further away from the actual sensation of flying.
Yeah.
This is immaculate.
Aviation began with men like the Wright brothers and Santos Dumont tinkering in their garages trying to build a vehicle that could achieve sustained flight. The Ultralights of today have a lot in common with these early glider or kite designs. The very first Ultralight can be traced to John Moody, an engineer and hang glider enthusiast living in the frustratingly flat state of Wisconsin. In 1975, John added an engine to the back of his homemade hang glider, and with a whoosh, the Ultralight was born. Whoosh. In Canada, the Ultralight's popularity can also be traced back to one man, Mr. Dale Kramer.
Right from when I was a kid, the first pictures my mother has of me is banging together wood airplanes. It was just my life. Just the freedom and the ability to go where you want in 3 dimensions and have all the options in the world open to you. We're always going to the big air shows around the country, and mainly Oshkosh, Wisconsin, where they have a week-long Experimental Aircraft Association air show. Actually put engines on one of my glider designs, and while I was at university that fall, that's all I could think about. And Christmas came along, and I just came home and told my parents I was quitting university, and I wanted to try and make a business out of selling airplanes like this, and I did. The Laser was a design over a progression of 2 or 3 airplanes.
Dale's Laser has a huge high-performance wing that tapers up without a lot of wires or struts that would create drag.
For the early years when we went to the air shows, the original Laser only had a total of 11 horsepower, 2 5.5 horsepower engines, and people couldn't believe it would stay in the air, and not only stay in the air, but outclimb all these powered hang gliders with 40 horsepower engines on it. The covering is one thing that makes it very unique, which is it's clear, and it's easy to distinguish it because you can see right through the wing. Second thing is the tail, the inverted V-tail. Aerodynamically, it's very efficient and it's unique. In Canada, we were definitely the largest ultralight manufacturer for almost all the years we were in production.
In the 1980s, there were a couple of ultralight crashes, and the press began to encourage the idea that ultralights were extremely dangerous to fly. Because they fly at lower speeds, ultralights can be more susceptible to wing stall. Simply put, wing stall takes place when an aircraft slows down and the wings tilt up. When this happens, the low air pressure under the wing, creating lift, becomes erratic. In a bad stall, the aircraft tips over toward the wing, producing the least lift, and the plane falls into a dive. People were killed in some of the accidents, and the media reports that followed crippled the entire industry.
It was a very unfair, in my view, portrayal of ultralights. In reality, it's a very safe vehicle. It's as safe as the person flying it.
The Laser has remained an extremely popular ultralight design, but many other aircraft builders weren't as lucky.
Business was tough. Some people had to shut down manufacturing and find other kinds of work. It was truly dark days for the ultralight community. But you know what? It's hard to keep a good thing down.
Bad press had damaged the ultralight business. But a few people, like Ian Corristine, have been working hard to save the distinctive aircraft.
People were being encouraged to go off, and their first solo would be their first ever flight. And not only did they not have a clue of how to fly, but these were primitive flying machines, and you actually needed to know more, not less. And so there was the formula for disaster. So I had a fellow by the name of Gordon Bruce, and he and I started a school in St. Lazare, Quebec, and I guess it was one of the very first ones, which would help people learn to fly. And it was a component that was really badly needed.
The flight school went through a number of aircraft designs before finding the Challenger.
Ian was so impressed with the company and their aircraft, he became the Canadian distributor.
This is my baby. I think it's probably about the 7th one I've had. One of the reasons why this plane is so appealing to me, and I think to others, is that it has this very, very light structure, this strong power-to-weight ratio, and that allows things like floats, which most planes can't easily handle. Our customer base was basically made up of a disproportionate number of F-18 pilots and 747 captains and bush pilots and people who had really forgotten more about flying than most people will ever know. And they were always the easiest people to sell an airplane to because they immediately understood that this was very unusual.
It was flying his Challenger that Ian discovered the Thousand Islands region of Ontario. The magical location became his new home, and together with his Ultralight, launched his next career.
What I wanted, first of all, to do was to share it with friends because there's so many that live where I do and elsewhere that just aren't aware what's here. This place flies under the radar. I had a camera and some familiarity with aerial photography, so I just started shooting. 4, 5, 6 years to throw at this project and living in the assignment with this plane, with the camera, and with this training allowed me to accumulate quite a library of pictures. And eventually I did this book, and suddenly I found, hey, this is fun too. I enjoy this. The books have so far sold over 45,000 copies, and they're still not distributed anywhere but right here. When I was a child, I had this sort of Peter Pan dream where I could go up and look down and go where I wanted and just have the total freedom of flight. Honestly, that's what this is.
The dedication of Ian and a few others has served to reinvigorate the ultralight industry. And today, there are more people flying than at any other time. Now, a major reason for their popularity is their appeal to the do-it-yourselfer. Because of their simplicity, the Ultralight can be purchased and built as a kit. So, imagine, if you will, ordering an airplane in the mail, building it yourself, and flying in short order. Although in my case, it may take a little longer. Are you kidding me? It's a little nut! Luckily, John McDermott is a little more handy than I am. He's built over a dozen Ultralights from his hangar at the Salmon Arm Airport in BC.
What I like most about it is that I can show people what I can do with the kit. I've had guys bring me, parts, boxes full, and say, oh, gee, I just can't do this. I don't have the time. Well, what gives me the satisfaction is when they can walk in and see what I've done. Hypothetically, if the factory said 300 hours, you could probably say 600 hours. If it was a real involved kit and they said it's going to take you 1,200 hours, double it. When this kit arrives, it doesn't have any fabric on it. It doesn't have any wiring. It doesn't have the panel made. It doesn't have these bars, the tail section, any of it. It just comes in a box. I would have to say 85% of it is assembled. Now you have to finish it off. And the first thing you're going to do is probably work on the tail section, do some covering. The fabric is Seconite. It's a polyester, and it comes just like bed sheets. For the wings, it just looks like they give you a bunch of bed sheets. You glue one edge and then drape it over. You glue the trailing edge and get it as tight as possible and try and keep the wrinkles out of it. And then you would add heat to it with an iron. You iron it at 250 degrees. You do the whole plane, and then you start all over again. Once you heat it to 350, it gets pretty taut. And then when the paint goes on, it just keeps getting a little harder and a little harder. It doesn't become brittle because this paint all has a flex agent in it, where automotive paint doesn't. This will last with the proper sealer on it, the proper UV coat. It'll last 20 years.
For safety reasons, the engine comes ready-made from a company called Rotax. Their North American headquarters is just up the road in Vernon, BC.
We're the Canadian distributor for Rotax aircraft engines. So Most of our business is with the uncertified ultralight home-built type aircraft. Most people think they are just snowmobile engines, and they're not. They're a totally different production line. They have a completely different power output. So there's virtually no similar components used. Snowmobiles don't have that great a reputation for reliability, so we fight that as well.
Normally, when an engine is powering a propeller, it sends pulses through the crankshaft that vibrate the prop. These vibrations affect the spinning prop and make it less efficient. So more power has to be used to compensate for the loss, and more power means more weight. But in 1978, Ron Chetler, a pilot and a BC native, figured out a way to remove the prop vibration and convinced Rotax to make it part of their engine design.
But what makes the engine so successful is a simple metal-to-metal dog system. You have a dog gear and a dog hub. And this, combined with springs, just allows movement between the propeller and the engine, avoiding breakage. Keeping it simple, keeping it rugged is the beauty of this engine.
When completed, an ultralight kit can run you anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000. But really, how can you put a price on fun?
This is what the finished product looks like. I started the kit in December, and we finished it about 3 weeks ago. It flies well. The Rotax engine is handling the plane very well. There's nothing better than the satisfaction that you receive that, hey, I built this baby.
Hey, don't worry, I didn't build this. I let pros like John handle this. But you know, being up here, I feel as graceful as an eagle. Okay, maybe I'm pudgy. But you know, there's a new form of ultralight out there that gets you even closer to the sensation of pure flying. And if I figure out how to land this thing, I'll check it out.
These days, one of the most popular forms of ultralight doesn't even have a conventional wing. Now that's an entrance.
I know what you're thinking. How can you fly without a wing?
This is a 6-shooter powered parachute.
Doesn't look like much of a plane. I think it's a great step of faith, Scott, that you're just here on the ground. All you have is a seat and a big engine, no wings or anything, and you just start going and hope that the plane takes shape behind you.
What else do you need besides a big engine?
Well, I would have thought before today, wings.
Yeah, here, I'll get you to grab that in.
Okay.
So the canopy is 2 layers, top and bottom layer, with an opening at the front. The air is forced inside the canopy by rolling down the field, and that combined with the way it's rigged, the length of the strings, gives the canopy its shape, and then it becomes an airfoil. So it's like running with a kite. So now it's a wing, and if you're going fast enough, it'll create lift and lift you off the ground.
These are very thin, Scott.
They are, but you know what? Both of us could probably hang from one of these without breaking it.
I'll take your word for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
How do you steer this?
A little more obvious once you see the canopy inflated,
Okay.
but if you can picture a skydiver coming down, they've got the toggle lines up above their shoulders. That goes up to the back of the canopy. If you pull on that line, it curls it back down, and it causes the canopy to skid around the corner. So if you want to turn left, push with your left foot, that pulls the line, and it turns.
So what are you doing with your hands this whole time?
The only other control is the throttle, and that controls climbing and descending. So if you want to climb, you add power. If you want to descend, you reduce power.
Wow, this is a pretty personal ride here. Let me get this buckled up.
Yeah, but I can't take it.
Seriously?
I've only got one helmet.
But this is my show, Scott.
Well, yeah, but it's my airplane.
Fine, I don't want to fly on your kite anyway.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. Have a nice flight.
Hey, you ever drive an amphicar, Scott, huh? Hovercraft? You have to drive garbage trucks, my friend. Fishing boats, I'd like a kite. Kite, please. Yes. You don't want me as an enemy. I get to do everything. Yeah, wave. Hi, yeah. Flying with that much freedom is a huge blast, or at least it looks like a blast. But it isn't always fun and games with the Ultralights. Bill Lishman, who became famous using Ultralights to help geese migrate, has teamed up with engineer Paul Yarnell to develop an Ultralight that could save lives during an emergency.
The Ultralight has matured, and now we have reliable products and aircraft. There's no reason not to put them to work. After some of the major disasters that we've witnessed globally in the past few years, the tsunami and Katrina, Bill came up with the idea of somehow using an Ultralight to help deliver aid to victims of disaster.
Paul and Bill have a plan for getting emergency supplies into areas cut off from, shall we say, traditional response vehicles.
A production pod would carry approximately 100 kilos of useful material. Could be food, dehydrated food, water, medical supplies, blankets, tents. The trike model is particularly attractive for this application because it folds down to an extremely small size, which would allow it to be deployed with many others in a large aircraft like a C-130. And so if there are a fleet of these operating, it would be possible to deploy a great amount of aid in a short time and in a fairly easy and efficient way. So the sky's the limit.
Just imagine, the next time I find myself in trouble, it could be an Ultralight that comes to my rescue. Wicked! Whether you're using them to save lives in a disaster area or, well, just for a darn tootin' good time, there really is nothing like flying in an Ultralight. The sense of freedom you get up there soaring with, quite frankly, not that much around you is incredible. You know what? I'm going again. I am. I'm going again. Freedom! Roll the credits!